gift is a seed. You can easily be the change that we need. Keep your mind alert and your heart with peace. Be the change that we want to see. Yeah, go and share your gift. Yeah, your gift is a seed. You can easily be the change that we need. Keep your mind alert and fill your heart with peace. Be the change that we want to see. Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Mentality Unchained. I am Dr. Kevin Thomas, your neighborhood therapist. Thank you for joining me today. Today, I have a serial entrepreneur. I have a networking engineer, father of 4 girls, son, brother, grandfather, friend, and an active community leader, and in the Master Builders Lodge. Welcome, Daryl Joyner. What's up, Daryl?
Thank you. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming through, taking a little time out of your schedule just to come and chat with me, just talk about, some community stuff, some stuff that you got going on in your life. Just really give some sound advice to some of these young brothers out here about your journey and hopefully how we can help some of these young brothers, man. You know, the show is about mental health, community, and culture. And so I want to really capitalize on some of the people that's doing stuff around in the area. So thank you for joining me, man.
And I appreciate you having me.
All right. If you don't mind, tell the people a little bit about yourself. I gave them just a little bit because I know that ain't all of it. So tell the people about you.
I mean, that's a lot about me. I mean, I have things I love to do. I love to travel. That's honestly one of my greatest hobbies is travel. I travel a lot for business, travel a lot just, personally. So I like to see the world, and quite obviously being a master mason, that's huge to me. And being a part of Master Builders Lodge. So, Master Builders Lodge number 33. So right here in Rockford, that's huge to me. That's good. And just family. So, that's the biggest thing is being a dad, being a grandfather, and just the love of my life, her and I doing things and just enjoying life.
Gotcha.
So taking it as far as I can take it with the time that I got.
Okay. Well, that's good, man. So I want to kick this thing off talking a little bit about family. Like what is family to you, and what does it encompass for you?
Family to me is everything, because the truth of the matter is what a lot of people really don't understand is you get one time around with these people.
Okay.
I don't care if reincarnation is real. I don't care what's not real. I don't care if energy is reformed, whatever you may think, whether you believe you go to heaven or wherever. Okay. The fact of the matter is the people that surround you, your network, you get one time around with these particular people. Make it count. With everybody in your life, make it count. It's like I tell my kids all the time about, making it happen. That's a mantra I've been using since they were children. Okay. And making sure that they knew themselves and understand themselves. You shouldn't spend time not talking to family or not talking to me. Don't get me wrong. We got a lot of shady people in families that you have to keep at arm's length. But at the same time, if you can, know what's going on in their life just in case. Because you get one time around with these people. Gotcha. And the people that are good to you and the people that, are definitely selfless with their time, their energy, their money, and anything about you, those are the people you should be trying to spend the most time with, as far as I'm concerned with family.
Gotcha. So you have how many girls?
I have 4. I have 4. I have 3 that are my own, and then I raised my niece.
What is it like as a father raising girls? Because I got girls too. So, I got 1 boy, but I got 3 girls. So what is it like raising girls from your perspective?
When they were younger, it was easy, actually. When they were just little babies, little kids, it was easy. Girls, for me, became harder as once they got out of college and became adults. Okay. So, because they're intertwined in their lives, they're traveling, they're doing different things, they're working, they have real life issues and real life problems going on. So when they were kids, it was easy for me. It didn't take much to do, and I enjoyed it. So being a dad, I've always enjoyed being a father. Right. I enjoy being a grandfather. And for me, raising girls was wonderful. So being a girl dad, I'm all for it. I'm cool with it. Whether you're boy, dad, girl, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But for me, being a girl dad has been wonderful.
Gotcha. So as a parent and as a father, like when you were growing up, what was your life like? Like what was it like being Did you grow up with your father? Who was in your life?
For me, my life is it's been a little different. I have two fathers in my life. I have my biological father. He's in my life. He lives in Indiana. And I have my dad who raised me. So the man you see today is a combination of both of those. But I really have to give it up to my dad who raised me, Charles Person. That's my father. And everything about me, everything you see is like my demeanor. The way that I move with children, the way that I move as a man primarily is because of him. So he raised me. He taught me everything I know. I watched him growing up, my whole life. I watched my dad. I watched how he moved. I wanted to be my dad. And it's like, I still try to this day to have his calm demeanor.
Try. I heard that.
Yeah, try. Yeah, I try. Because he's a very calm guy, but it's like I watched his work ethic and as a kid, because, we grew up poor. We were pretty well in poverty until I got in high school. My parents at that time, they were able to get good jobs. And, in the 80s, it was different.
Yeah.
Growing up in Chicago, in the Chicago area, it was not easy for, black women and black men to garner jobs. So, it was very different from what it is now. But I watched him and my mother both work different jobs. My dad, growing up, he always worked two jobs until he came to the job that he retired at.
Okay.
But he had always worked two jobs.
So you really seen some resilient people.
Yeah, and him and my mother, I watched them learn a lot of things on their own. It's like, you hear people always talking about the internet and knowledge and how there's so much knowledge out here, you should be chasing it.
Yeah.
You should be this, you should be that. People are always trying to tell, and I'm not going to say people, I'll say folks that I come across in my life. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
Folks that I come across, I hear on a extreme garnered basis, I'll say, meaning a lot of people in my life that try to, I'll say, how would I put it? Make people feel bad almost about not being successful or not having things. And yes, it's true. Knowledge is out there. It's everywhere. The internet has changed everything. But what good is the internet if you don't know what you're looking for and you don't know how to look?
Right.
That's like telling somebody like, this is the pathway to God. And all you got to do is follow this pathway. But they don't tell you that on that pathway, there are several crossroads, several things that lead off.
Absolutely.
So you can become confused as to, well, which way do I go?
Right.
And some people can stand still. Some people can veer off and not realize where it's going.
True.
So and there could be dangers on certain places on roads. It's all types of stuff.
Yeah.
So guided knowledge is the best kind of knowledge. And a lot of people miss that, that I come across. They'll tell you about chasing things and tell you about knowledge, but nobody wants to hold you by the hand. I hear that a lot. It's like there's very few people that I come across that are willing to give somebody knowledge and hold them by the hand. And that's exactly what I did with my children is, yes, it's my job as your father, as the man in your life, to not only give you the knowledge, but I'm going to hold you by the hand, even when you're an adult, to show you how to do it. You got a lot of people that they'll kick their kids out at 18 and you got to go and you got to be a man. Ain't nobody a man that know 18 and ain't nobody no woman that know 18.
That is true.
I have a kid that's 31 years old. That's still my baby.
Right.
And anything she called me for, I'm right there.
Right.
Because you're going to hit pitfalls in your life. I'm 52 years old. I will still and have hit pitfalls, ups and downs. Your life is like a graph. So it's a lot of stuff being passed around out here, and it's a lot of misinformation.
I love the fact that you're that type of father. I'm similar. I'm trying to get into the mode of allowing my kids to be adults because it's difficult. Kind of what you were saying. I find the trouble of wanting to always step in. And I think that's a difficult task for parents in general, and more so for men, especially with girls. I know we love our boys and things of that nature, but when it comes to girls, we do always find the need to want to just step in. I mean, for you, your perspective, do we think that boys are more capable, or what is it that we make a difference when it comes to stepping in with our kids?
One of the biggest issues that we have as a black culture, and I say black culture because that is what we are. Sometimes we forget who we are. We are a part of Africa, but we're more of a part of America. And as black people, we have to remember people around us, other races, try to box us in as to what they want us to be. But we are who we are. We have a vast and wonderful and beautiful culture that's universal that the whole world attempts to follow. So me as a person, one thing that I've done that was given to me is I believe in embracing my culture and who I am universally. So some people that are black, some of our folks that are black, don't want to embrace it because they don't know enough about it. You to be able to understand who you are in the world and your value as a black man, as a black woman in this world, you really have to know who you are. Now, I happen to be one of the few people on this planet that know exactly who I am. You can't tell me nothing about me.
That is true.
You can't even try.
Gotcha.
I don't give you the option to tell me nothing about me. You can't tell me nothing about my history. I've been studying it since I was a child. So there's nothing a white person can tell me about me. There's nothing you can tell me about you as a white person because I've been studying your history too. So I don't care who you are, I've been studying you.
Okay.
Because I need to know me and I need to know my value. I need to understand as a white person why you value me so much.
Yeah.
And that's the problem as black people, that we forget to understand. White people don't hate you. White people value you. You have value. People around the world, I go around the world to different places, different continents all the time. People value you as a black man, as a black woman. Now, the difference that we make, getting back to the original question, is we try to follow other cultures as we think.
I see what you're saying.
And we put a lot of value on our women. But we do it in a sense that's the wrong way. We're making our girls stronger than we are making our men. And we fail to realize the only way to have a strong family unit and a strong culture is your men have to be positively strong. They have to be leaders. You have to instill in them what it means to be a man. So we've had too much time in my generation, your generation, where there were far too many single mothers.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because one thing I'll say, and I honestly, trust me when I say, I don't care about the opinions of women as about a man.
Yeah.
Let me say that clearly.
I understand where
and
you're
there's
going
no
with that.
disrespect.
Right.
But for your opinion on how a man should be a man, you know absolutely nothing about it. You know as much about a man being a man as I know about a woman being a woman.
Right.
I don't know anything about your menstrual cycle. I don't know what it feels like to give birth. I don't know what it feels like as a woman to carry a child in my stomach. I don't know what it feels like as a woman to go to college or go through school or be a little girl or have your hair done. And I don't want to know because I'm a man.
Yeah.
Those are just several differences that we have that are minor. Yeah. So in a lot of instances, we're not instilling enough pride, enough ego, and just enough posture in our men to stand up and be men.
Is there a balance to be struck with that, though, Daryl, when we teach our young women to be strong and we teach our young men to be great leaders and have strength? Is there a trade-off, though, when it becomes to relationships? Because our boys may be too strong or too much of a leader, and they don't allow the women to be women, and then our women are so strong that they don't need a man. I mean, so is there any balance that need to be struck there?
Balance does not exist in relationships. Okay. You either have somebody who leads or you have somebody who doesn't. There's no such thing as a balance in a relationship.
Okay.
People are like, oh, you're not a relationship expert. Yes, I am. I know how to be married. I've been married. I've stayed married. I've gotten divorced. I've been in relationships, and I know how to find a woman at any given time that I choose.
Okay.
Period, point blank. There is no balance.
Gotcha.
You cannot have balance. Your woman in the relationship must be the subordinate in the relationship. I don't care if you don't like the word, because if you're not the subordinate, you're the leader. And if the woman is the leader in the relationship, at some point, because of her genetic makeup, she will disrespect you. She will dislike you because now she is not your woman. She is your mama. Woo. And the only person that should be able to lead you and teach you and show you is your mama. Now, it's okay for your woman to give you advice, for her to show you things, for her to help guide you, but understand being a helpmate and being a subordinate, you don't have to like it. But in any company, there's only one CEO. There may be a board, but in a relationship, y'all ain't got no board. Okay. You got a CEO and you got a vice president, but y'all got to work together. You can be a team, but the vice president never overrides the CEO. Whatever is final is final. So this is one of the reasons why when it comes to our boys, we have to instill in them the qualities that we have as men to be leaders. Character. You have to instill character in a man, because a man without character is not a man. He can only destroy. He cannot build. Pride. He has to have some type of ego about himself, some belief in himself. He has to like himself and love himself. That's a part of his pride. That's a part of his ego. Because he can't translate any of these good things and any of this faith and this good belief into a woman or a man if he doesn't have it himself. Period.
Woo! That's a mouthful, Daryl. Look, man, you that's a mouthful, brother. Here's the thing that I'm gonna push back because we got an audience out here that can't speak right now, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to,
and they want to,
right? And they want to, right? So I'm gonna push back so you can make clarification or say what you need to say.
Gotcha.
So the woman says, "Well, I ain't a subordinate. I can't. I'm not. You're not gonna tell me that I always have to follow you." There is an order to things.
Yeah,
I truly believe that. I mean, I'm a godly man, and I believe God sets the order, right? But at the same time, we have a generation, and we're living in a time where women feel that they are the leader and that no one can lead them. Mm-hmm. And so when you hear that type of conversation, I know you just talked about it, but when you hear that type of conversation, what's your thoughts on that?
You said a key word, feel. Feel your feelings. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is one thing as men that this is where you need to have balance. Now, this is where balance comes in.
Okay.
When you're dealing with a woman's feelings, mm-hmm. you need to understand what feelings are valid for you to take into consideration and what feelings are not. Because not every feeling and every emotion that a woman has is valid for you to take into consideration. Sometimes when it comes to your woman's feelings or the women in your life, period, their feelings and their emotions, you got to ignore that. Mm-hmm. You got to act like it didn't happen because that's part of being a man. Mm-hmm. Because if you jump on every single feeling and emotion that she's having, she's going to try you. It's in her nature to try you until you say no. It's in her nature to try you until you show her there's a wall. There's a limit. Because if you can't show her a wall and a limit, then how you going to do that for anybody else to protect her? What if she needs you to say no to somebody in her case or for her protection? Or what if somebody is doing something or somebody's causing an issue for her? She needs to know that at all times you're going to be that protector, not just a provider, but you're going to be that man to not just to protect her physically, but emotionally. Yeah. And you're going to check her feelings because as a man, your feelings always have to be in check. And you have to understand as a man, it's unfortunate in our culture, society in general, but I'm talking specifically about our Black culture, that a lot of things have changed over the last 50 years with our women. Yeah. You know, a lot of things since really about last 57 years. So we'll go back to the late 60s, since civil rights movement and moving into the feminist movement, which had nothing to do with us or our women. Right. But a lot of things have changed where you have to be very careful as to how you share your feelings as a Black man. The only people you should honestly be sharing your feelings to as a Black man are other Black men, not males, but other Black men and your therapist. That's it. You got to be careful.
I like you say a therapist too.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
It's important. It's important.
I appreciate that, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's important. So it's just, you got to be careful what you share with a woman, period, about your past, because you can't. A lot of times we're caught up in this thing in relationships where we're taught to believe that your woman should be your best friend. She can never be your best friend because she doesn't like the same things that you like. She doesn't enjoy and find fulfillment out of the same things that you do. Because if she did, she'd be a man. So she's not built like that. She can be one of your good friends. She can be a great friend, and y'all can have very good dialogue and very good rapport with each other, but she can never be your best friend. That doesn't work like that because you put expectations on her that are impossible for her to understand and to do.
Let's continue with that.
Okay.
Because relationships are very important.
Yeah.
And we both have daughters, and you know, I vision you sitting down having this conversation with your daughters
all the time
about their position in relationships.
Yep.
One thing I tell my daughters is that if you can't respect a man, leave.
Leave.
Because I don't need you disrespecting a man because he has a role to play as well as you do. And so I always try to teach that. But far as like relationships though, like why do we as men struggle so hard in relationship and more Pacific Black men?
I'll tell you from my perspective as a black man who's been in, at 52 years old, I've been in several relationships. I've been in a couple of marriages before. I've been in engagements that didn't go through, and I have my children. So as being a father, one of the biggest struggles that we have are two things: respect and loyalty. Now, every man around the world expects respect and loyalty in his relationship. But there are things that women get confused about us, and that now as men we are confusing. We are confusing love with respect and with loyalty, and it's not the same thing.
Wow.
Love is eternal. Love is something that dedicates you, and love is something that you can have. But love, whether people want to believe it or not, it's a choice. You choose who you love.
Yeah.
You hear people say it all the time. You can't choose who you love. Who told you that? Who told you that? Where you hear that? Prove it.
Yeah.
You can't prove it. Love is conditional on receiving what you get from somebody. Love itself is eternal. There are no conditions to love itself. But when it comes to us as people, love is conditional based on the reciprocation of the love. But there's a confusion. There are some women that I've come across, so I don't want to blanket in and say women. Let's just say the women that I've come across in my life on several occasions out of my 52 years seem to not really understand that respect and loyalty are imminent in a man, and they go hand in hand. You have to respect me because I'm going to respect you.
Right.
And you got to know the difference between respect and disrespect. And a lot of women that I've come across see respect differently from men. Well, you're supposed to, because if our respect factors were the same, I'd be a woman or you'd be a man, or we'd have some type of similar background as a man or a woman.
Right.
So we will find certain things the same as respectful. But you got to talk to your person, and you got to listen to your person. We're not listening on a lot of levels to each other. That's something I've come across a lot.
Yeah.
I have to stress this to my daughters. I have to stress this to different women in my life. Sometimes I'll say things and you're so eager to respond, or you're so eager to tell me what it is that's on your mind. You're not listening to what I'm saying. You may be hearing it, but you're not listening. And a lot of times people don't know the difference. You need to do both.
Yeah.
So respect is imminent.
People listen to respond. They don't listen to understand. And that's the big that's a big misconception of do I really understand what is being said versus, I got a response. I'm thinking of a response while you talking, that type of thing. So they're really not intentionally listening.
Yep.
And so one of the things too, in relationships, I think today's relationship looks different.
Yeah.
It feels different. And it's even compromised in a way where we can compromise values, we can compromise beliefs, we can compromise my role. It's flipped now. We have the men staying home and the women going out and working and providing, and then we have the women leading.
Yeah.
In a marriage, and I'm the one. My marriage is, I don't have to lead and say I lead. It's just a given, right? It's just in me to do that. And my wife, she honors that. She doesn't go around, my husband's the leader, and I don't go around and say I'm the leader. But the way we live in leadership and fellowship, and we work together and things, but at the end of the day, we don't have that today. And I'm trying to do that with my son, is show him how to lead by doing.
Yeah.
I do the same thing with my daughters. My wife does the same thing with them, teaching them how to be in a relationship, because a lot of young folks don't know how to be in relationships. So it's a struggle for them, trying to figure it out. But we don't have enough of us.
Yeah.
Trying to guide them and teach them what you were saying earlier, though, is that we want to kick them out without having the skills and the know-how to live at 18 years old, even being in just personal relationships, cordial relationships, work relationships, don't know how to do any of those things. And we push them out thinking that they can go out there and survive. So, which leads me to your community work. Like, what are you doing in the community right now? Like, what's your niche? What is it that you like to do in the community? Where do you feel that you're at your best?
At my best is talking to people my age and talking to people younger than me and even those older than me to get people to understand your place on this planet still has work to do as long as you're waking up every day. So for me, it's anybody that I come across, if I can feed something into you and you can feed something into me, and I can garner another person in my network and I be in your network, then that grows.
Okay.
I get growth from that.
Gotcha.
They get growth from me. And there are several things that I do. I mean, I have my businesses that I run and I work on, and my thing is to make them as successful as possible. I mean, I run TonyCharles.com, you know, and I run Raw Dog Urban. They're both clothing companies. This is one of mine that I wear, and I do different stuff.
Yeah.
But that's been my niche for 30 years.
Right.
And I also, I work a job, and jobs are cool depending on what you want to do. So
Right.
I work in networking and engineering and build systems for hospitals and communication systems and network systems. But that's my job. Okay. That's what I do. So in the community, it's if I could reach a lot more black men, not just younger, but the ones that are in their 40s and their 50s that nobody's thinking about.
That's true.
And people think you got it all figured out because you're in your 40s and your 50s. We have a lot of black men out here that are doing things. There's a misconception that it ain't enough of us, but the truth is there are a whole lot of us out here that are doing far more good and far greater good than that are doing bad. Like they'll show you all the time on television, and when I say they, I mean white media, because the media is controlled by white people.
Okay.
I don't care what ethnic group you put them in. The vast majority of media is controlled by white folks. Unless you're talking about Byron Allen, which is one of the only, black people out here, or Tyler Perry, that are controlling some type of media, or Oprah Winfrey. Right. Outside of that, we don't have a whole lot of people in our black culture that control media.
Right.
So a lot of things that you see about us are negative, but statistics, scientific proof of how black fathers are involved with their children and involved, whether it's in a single household, him raising his children, or a family environment, we're always involved with our children. Yeah. But we've gotten a negative content about us for, centuries. Yeah. So in the community, me, myself, if I can feed anything into just people in general in our culture, in the black culture, or even white that may want it from me, or whatever culture, if you may want it from me. If I can feed into you the importance of entrepreneurship, the importance of continuously getting knowledge and learning, and with young men in general, the importance of the only way you can really learn how to be a man is you have to see somebody, know somebody, follow somebody. You can make up whatever you want to make up in your own mind, but you're going to take pieces from a whole lot of people, and that's okay. But you got to make sure that the pieces you take work for you, and you can live up to it for you.
Yeah, everything is not for you. I believe.
Everything ain't.
I truly believe that. So then I know we have communities across this country, but our community, specifically our community, what are you seeing, and where do you think we go?
I mean, there's a lot of division that I see between black men and black women, to the point that it's getting kind of bad. It's not at a point where it's sad. It's just at a point where it's concerning. Okay. One of the things that I see is we need to pay attention to how much white culture has embraced our black women. That's a scary point, and it's fearful, because all of the attention that white culture puts into black women in this country is a takeover. And our black women have embraced it through education. They've embraced it through money. And our black women have been confused in believing that money is leadership, and it's not. Money is not leadership. I don't care if you make $1 million a year and the man you with make $50,000 a year. First of all, if you making $1 million a year, you should be showing him how to make $1 million a year. And if he's your person, he should be listening, because that gives both of you an opportunity to draw into each other, build into each other, and then y'all can put that to somebody else, even if it's just your children.
So if I hear you correctly, what you're saying is that the white culture has encouraged the black woman to push the black man out by way of economics, knowledge, and resources?
Yeah, let me back it up. I don't want to just say something and just throw it out there because I'm sure you have listeners and women out there that would want to rebuttal that, but let me back it up.
Okay.
So when I talk about that, the thing is, think about this situation. You have a lot of black women that are going to college and going to universities. You have a lot of black women that are graduating from colleges and universities. But you also have a whole lot of black men that are graduating from colleges and universities.
Right.
Now, what the black woman in this country does not understand about herself, yes, you are given far more opportunities to become CEOs in white corporations, to become vice presidents in white corporations, to become directors and managers where you make a lot more money than your black counterparts. But the reason that is because to a white male or a white female, you are safe. You are safe. There is no fear of you. Let me explain to you why you are safe and why there is no fear of you. See, this is something that goes way back to slavery. This goes way back before 1865. This goes way back before Jim Crow was even happening in Jim Crow. This goes way back. This is part of your history. It's only a small part, but you are safe because you are the person that during slavery and even after Reconstruction and during Jim Crow and everything that went in between, the white woman had no problem with you being a midwife, with you helping to birth their babies. Most of the time, a lot of the time, I won't say most, but a lot of the time, black women were even the ones who breastfed the babies. So you had the mammy or the mammy, whatever you want to call it, in the house. And it didn't have to be a plantation. Let's not get it confused. And it wasn't just down south. Let's not get it confused. It happened in New York, in Boston, and all these different places, in Chicago, where you would breastfeed these children. You would raise these children. There are a whole lot of white people in this country that are even our age, in their 50s, that somewhere along the way, whether it was in the South or whatever, they had a so-called maid or a housekeeper that was black that actually helped to raise them, did more for them than their own mother, definitely their own father. So you are safe. You are trusted by white men with their most precious thing, their future, their children. So that's why it's easy for you to become a CEO. Yeah, you may disagree with me like, oh, that's just him trying to, no, look at it. Sometimes take a step back and ask yourself, why is it you don't see more black males as far as leadership goes in a lot of white businesses, which 99% of businesses plus, really way more than that, are owned by white men or white boards or whatever. But when it comes to all the educated black men that you see that are becoming doctors, that are in business, that have MBAs and master's degrees, they still struggle to get into educational situations. They still struggle to get into businesses that sell products or whatever. But a lot of black women, they're taking you on like that. That's destruction of the culture. It's a false narrative to our black women that you are the leaders, you are in leadership roles. No, you're not. Because if you destroy the woman, you destroy the culture. If you destroy the man, you destroy the culture. Period, point blank. If one or the other fails, the culture ultimately disappears. Period. It's a false notion of leadership. It's not real.
It's a painted narrative.
I mean, it ain't even painted. It's an illusion. It ain't even painted. It's an illusion. It's something that you were told and you were given based off of you. It's like in a lot of cases with black people, pretty much all institutions you go to are based in white culture, all, college or universities, almost all. You may have the exceptions such as, some that are more black like Bethune or Tuskegee, because of the people that started them and the type of involvement they had in the beginning. But the vast majority of institutions are white based. Even Spelman was, what's his name's wife? Was it Carnegie? I forget which wife. Who? Rockefeller. That's it. Thank you. Yep. That was not started by black people. Wow. So it's like you got to know your history and know where you come from.
I like that. I think you really paint a vivid picture of the culture and how it interacts with the relationships of the male and the female, black male and female. Yeah. I love that. I appreciate that. So then where does the intersection between our culture and specifically black men and mental health intersect? Where does that come into play? Even based on you talking about history and all that, how does that intersect?
Purpose. Black men need to have purpose. You know, one of the biggest things is that's the problem is a lot of our younger black men and even black men in their 40s and 50s, our ages, have, I don't want to say lost, but for lack of a better word, have lost a drive for purpose because we get beat down so much in culture. You got to think, if you got somebody that's coming out of college and he's got an MBA or he's got some type of degree outside of engineering where it's necessary, or something that's necessary where they need him because it's a lack of people, but you're coming out and you want to be a business owner, you can say whatever you want. When it comes to a lot of these grants out here, think about something. How is it easy for a black man to find his purpose and find himself when everywhere you look, there are so many grants for women and black women specifically? They're everywhere. But tell me how many grants by these big companies or by these corporations are directly targeted at black men? I'll wait. Because I'm a black man in business. If you know a son, tell me. That are specifically for us in business.
Right.
Tell me how many of those you see.
Right.
But for our black women in business, people always talk about more black women started businesses in the last whatever how many years than anybody. I don't know the statistics, so okay, whatever. I get it, and I'm grateful for that. But you got all these black women that are starting businesses, and all of these black people, whether it's men or women that are graduating from colleges, the fact of the matter is there's not a lot out there for us as black men for us to find our purpose without you building it from the ground. As a black man in this country, part of this culture, I don't care who you are, you started from the bottom.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
You started from the bottom.
So purpose, and I want to add another element too. When it comes to mental health, it appears that this generation struggle to deal with the weight of manhood, where we were forced to deal with the weight of manhood. And I don't know necessarily if it's true or not, but I hadn't did the research, which I would love to do, is if our young men now believe that they can carry the weight of being a successful black man. I also ultimately believe it makes them feel weak. It makes them feel unaccomplished. It makes them feel that they don't have a purpose. So in turn, they don't know how to express themselves. In turn, they become emotionless. In turn, they don't have the emotional intelligence to articulate. In turn, they just don't have the strength to be what they're purposed to be. What's your take?
Well, that comes back to number one, honesty with the black culture, being honest.
Okay.
And the second part of that is being open.
Okay.
So in being honest, one thing that my generation, your generation, as black men, we don't do a lot is put the blame where it really needs to be. It's like that may be a hard pill to swallow, but it's just the honest to goodness truth, where when it comes to what we call Generation X, which is our generation, you got to put the blame where it needs to be. And the blame, honestly, as sad as it may sound, falls on the shoulders of black men in Generation X. And I'm talking about black men, truthfully, born from around 1965, 66, up to about 1977, 78, around that area. Those of us born
So
in
we
that
dropped
area.
the ball.
We more than dropped the ball. We failed.
Yeah.
And it's okay to fail as long as you're willing to do everything in your power to make it succeed, to get up, to do whatever you got to do. Failure, learn from it. And the problem with us is we didn't learn from it and we shifted the blame. Yeah. So when white America, regardless of their culture, stepped into the black culture because of the importance of controlling the black culture, a lot of black men just faded to black. So this is where the rise in single motherhood came along, where you had a lot of black men, because of the monetary issues and because of the involvement of the state, being willing to give women checks and housing, but no man could be there. We hear this all the time. This was true. But a lot of black men on that note dropped the ball and did not fight to be involved with their children.
Yeah.
We know where we come from.
Yeah.
It's slavery, Jim Crow. We know the history of violence with white people. You know, it's like the one thing that we keep avoiding in this country is the truth. We can let white people avoid the truth all we want to, but when it comes to us as a black culture, you got to embrace it. Embrace honesty, embrace the truth, so you can embrace yourself and you can embrace the women in your culture. So even with me, there are some of the women right now who might think that, oh, he got a chip on his shoulder about black women. He's jealous. He says, no, I ain't. Mm-hmm. First of all, I'm a successful black man. Mm-hmm. And I have 4 daughters that I have raised, love them all. I got a woman in my life that she does everything she needs to do for me, and I give her everything I can. Mm-hmm. I have a mother. My mother's passed away, but my mother was a wonderful mother. Mm-hmm. She was wonderful as a mother. Mm-hmm. I couldn't have asked for greater. Mm-hmm. So there's not a disrespect for the black women in my culture. There's a serious respect, but it needs to be some type of equilibrium where we understand each other on the level of respect.
Yeah.
It needs to be there. And for us to be able to feed that into our young black men and even to the men our age, we need to understand how many, when it came to women being single mothers, like how many of black men in Generation X, I'll use that as a narrative, meaning us in our 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever. Mm-hmm. How many of us use the excuse that my baby mama, she causing me problems, or, I ain't dealing with all this mess from my baby mama, or when it comes to my ex-wife, she just being outrageous.
Yeah.
She just do stuff. So,
right.
She got your child, man, whether it's a girl or a boy, it does not matter. Yeah. It is your job. It is your honor. It is your responsibility to deal with her. You deal with whatever you got to deal with her to make sure that your young one, that your future, that the person that you help make gets every opportunity possible. You work hard. We know about child support in this system, how it's meant to burn us down and break us down. That's all it's for. But if you're standing up, doing certain things, even if she still want to use the system, you still bust your butt to take care of your legacy. That's yours. She should never determine how you take care of your legacy. I don't care how crazy she is. Call the police on her. Stay away from her. Go pick up your child at the police station every day. Go to court. Get a lawyer. Bust your butt. Work at McDonald's and Burger King if that's all you got. And go to school. Get an education. You live in a land run by white people. They respect education. Get it. Get certificates. They respect that because they trust you more when you've been under their educational system. That's where all this came from. Get it.
I appreciate your honesty and transparency on that, because that's you're absolutely right. We need more of that. We need more of transparency and honesty, and stop shifting the blame to other people. I love the fact that you brought that up. So you've really hit every aspect of really what I wanted to discuss with you. But at the same time, there is I have this feeling or this idea of we still yet learn how to deal with our emotions, because ultimately that's what get us in the place and in the predicament that we're in. By way of, we can't control our emotion, that we'll walk off a job because we want to blame and this and that, but you don't want to go start your own business. So now you can't take care of your kids. Then you can't express yourself correctly to your significant other. Therefore, you don't even have a communication. You don't even have the communication. You no longer have the healthy relationship. We don't deal with our anger well. I mean, all of these different things. Why is it, in your opinion, that we struggle so deeply to just deal with our emotions? And I love the fact that you talked about shifting the blame. Why we can't deal with our emotions?
Lack of discipline. It's really that simple. When it comes to a lot of black men in our culture, we have a lack of discipline. And I don't want to say nobody. That would be a misnomer. We need to listen more in our black culture as men to those that are attempting, such as you and such as me, to teach black men discipline. Discipline comes in the form of, one thing you should always be disciplined about as a black man is reading. Reading is fundamental. There is nothing on this earth that ain't been put in print that we know. Even when it goes back to old scrolls and it goes back to anything in history, it was put in print. It was hieroglyphics. It's a print. Doesn't matter. Look at the pyramid. Look wherever you want to go, because there's a whole lot of knowledge on that we don't know as people, but I know. But it's like print. Read everything you can of substance. I'm not talking about getting out here following these websites or Instagram posts or Facebook things where they're talking about stuff going on with rappers or whoever you may be, or even stuff that's in the news that's current. Like what's happening between Israel and Iran. Who cares? At the end of the day, you as a black man in this country, how does that really affect you? Don't waste your time reading that. It's good to know about it. Don't waste your time reading that. Pick up a book. Learn something about yourself. Start with some books out here that can teach you knowledge about yourself. Pick up books that help teach you about yourself. Learn about your history. Find out about people like Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, the biography of Malcolm X. Learn about Tuskegee. Learn about anybody you can that's in your history. And it ain't just slavery. You got people that have invented all types of stuff.
Yeah.
You will find out some serious things about yourself. Reading can teach you so many things, and reading can be one thing that builds character. Reading also builds confidence. Now, the next thing about reading is finding somebody that can help you take care of your appearance and your health. Because one thing that will really push you forward is understanding the importance of your health, especially as a black man in this country. You need to be around. You need to live as long as you can. We dropped the ball on that. I've dropped the ball on this several times because we're under stress. We walk around under stress every single day when we out here. And nobody understands what we're really going through as black men except another black man.
That's right.
Ain't no African, no offense to the African people in the African continent, but you don't understand what we walk around with in this country. Even when you come here, it's different.
It is.
And yes, it's very different. I've been to the African continent. It's different. So when it comes to us, we need to be able to have some type of pride that stokes our ego, but not to the point of being overbearing, but makes us take pride in how we look. Because people look at your outward appearance.
They do.
So when we got men, when I talk about how you look, all these black men walking around with their pants hanging down and acting like that's part of our culture. No, it ain't. I don't care what a rapper told you or showed you. That's not part of our culture that's relevant, that should be shown. That's not respectful. Or the ones that walk around and they don't use, proper American English. And I say American English because English is a language, but the derivative from Americans and the way we've made it, it's very different from actual Old English.
Okay.
We speak differently.
Right.
So when it comes to us and the language that we speak in this country as black people and as any culture in American English, speak the language to the best of your ability. Don't walk around, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, bro? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Look, don't use slang like that. Speak as if you have the knowledge and mastery of the language. Look at the dictionary, read it. Read an encyclopedia sometimes. I don't care if you don't have the time or you don't want to open an old dusty book. Do it on your phone. I don't care if you use Audible. Use something.
Yeah.
Learn something. Yeah. It builds character and confidence.
You give a lot of encouragement and enlightenment for black men. What would you say if you got brothers pushing back on you, saying, well, I wasn't given the same opportunity as you, or I don't have it like you, or I'm not you, or, you're saying this, but, you really don't know what I deal with and go through. You don't never have these issues. You ain't never had these issues. Like, what would you say to the brother that pushes back on that?
He's absolutely correct. I don't know your walk. Your walk is very different from mine. So I can't determine your walk. I don't know your walk. I don't know how your walk goes. Your walk is different from mine. But something that we mentioned earlier is, along with honesty, is be open.
Gotcha.
You can't receive anything if you're not open to it. You got to be open. And if it's a person around you, rather than worrying about your past and focusing on your past, that's a part of you. But why not try to be open to something that may be positive and have a positive effect on you? Because as long as you're not open, you can't build, you can't grow. That's like taking a plant, putting it in the ground, but then you take the ground and you make sure that it's in a bucket that's in plastic so nothing can get to it, and you cover it up. It's in darkness. And as long as you're in darkness, you can't receive light. So the problem is you got to be open to receive light, and receiving light is receiving knowledge. And that helps to open that third eye. And that third eye is just something in your brain that taps. I know exactly what it is, but it taps. I don't say it. And it gives you that openness to receive knowledge that's positive for your benefit. So as long as you worry about the things that have occurred to you, things are going to happen the rest of your life. Things are going to go on as long as you're going to have problems, you're going to have issues. But one of the biggest things for us is to just kind of chill and be calm. Yeah. Because if you breathe and you calm, you can think better. Yeah. So be open.
Yeah, you appear and you seem, and I know you've taken on the role of being that example. And I think you take pride in it as well as I, because it wasn't always like this.
Not at all.
And that's and that's the crux of what I want the audience to hear and know, that yes, Daryl talks about the things that he talks about, but it hasn't always been like that. And
Not at all.
And you have to be willing to chart that path that is set for you.
Yep.
And so if you're willing to do that, you can definitely make some headway in your future. So, Daryl, before we get ready to get out of here, we got about 5 minutes.
Okay.
I just want you to talk to the men right now, as if you have this room full of men. What would you tell them? What type of advice would you give them when it comes to just life in general as a black man?
As a black man, honestly, one of the biggest things you need to do right now, if you feel like you're lost, or if you feel like you don't know your way, first is embrace finance. You need to understand how finance works, because a man without monetary acumen is going to be lost, because you're going to miss opportunities. So you need to pull back on trying to look rich and start working on being wealthy mentally and being wealthy financially. So learn about finance, learn about how investments work, learn about real estate, learn about things that are going on in the stock market. And it's not just about having a job, it's about finance. Learn about how credit works. And if you don't know, start looking up things, looking online, find people, find from a black man's experience. You can talk about this from a white person's experience all day, and it's never going to be the same because there's a difference. But that's something that I and some of the friends of mine, we're working on, is to put ourselves out there to start teaching young black men, how to embrace finance.
Gotcha.
Learn to embrace yourself, travel, see things in the world, see what's going on around you, and take pride in how you look. Start to take pride in how you look, how your culture used to be. Look at your history.
Right.
Look at things even like zoot suits. I'm not saying you got to wear it, but just look at what the culture was like at that time.
Right.
And understanding where it's come to and how it needs to go back to a respectful source. So we don't have to look at other cultures to embrace ourselves and to take pride in ourselves and to build ourselves. You can just look at your culture and just know your history. If you know your history, you know yourself.
Wow.
Period.
Wow. Well, thank you, Daryl, for joining me, man. Let everybody know where they can follow you and how they can contact you.
You can follow me on Facebook. I think I'm at Daryl LaShawn. I think it's Daryl_LaShawn. That might be Instagram. It's DARYL_LESHUNN. And that's on Instagram. And it's Daryl LaShawn on, no, actually, is it Daryl LaShawn? It's DL Joyner. I'm sorry. It's DL Joyner on Facebook. So it's a capital DL and J and OYNER on Facebook. You can find me there.
Make sure y'all follow him. Look him up, man. He's a man about his business. He's doing his thing. Much respect. I appreciate you joining me. As I always say, as I get out of here, man, we all have the ability to change our circumstances only if we focus on what we can change. Thank y'all for joining me for another episode of Mentality Unchained. We're out.